here at Lambeau Field. Fox Sports proudly presents the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Green Bay. I'm Kenny Albert along with Tim Green. The Green Bay Packers have lost their first 2 games. Packers have not started 0-3 in 12 years, but today, Tim, they welcome the return of running back Dorsey Levens.
That's right, and when the Packers are at their best, their offense is like a very complex machine. And for that machine to be working right, it has to have balance. And Dorsey Levens' return should give them that balance. Now, the only question about Dorsey Levens is his health. He's coming off a knee surgery. I talked to him this morning. He said he still has some swelling in that leg, so look for him to split some time with Ahman Green. The other player for the Packers who's going to be playing with some pain today is quarterback Brett Favre. Now, Favre struggled in week 1, but last week with that same injury, with that same degree of pain in Buffalo, he looked very sharp. At the beginning of the game, he was 14 for 14. How does he do it? He's Brett Favre. That's how he does it.
On the other side, the big question in Philadelphia this week, which Eagles team will show up today? The team which destroyed the Cowboys in Dallas week 1 or lost to the Giants at home last week?
Huge difference. Looked like 2 different teams. Now, a lot of people in Philadelphia focused on quarterback Donovan McNabb and said, well, maybe McNabb's the problem. McNabb is not the problem. He's a young quarterback with tremendous talent, a strong arm. He's the best running quarterback in the game today and probably ever. So McNabb's not the problem. The problem the Eagles have had is just basic blocking and tackling. They did that in week 1 against the Cowboys, and they creamed them. They didn't do it last week against the Giants, and they got thumped. If they get back to those basics today, they could get a win here at Lambeau.
And a homecoming for Eagles head coach Andy Reid, a former assistant with the Packers. The opening kickoff is coming up.
1, 2, 3.
Back at Lambeau Field, the Green Bay Packers have won the toss. Eagles head coach Andy Reid, an assistant for 7 seasons here in Green Bay under Mike Holmgren. He worked for 2 years, 1997 and 98, on the staff with Packers head man Mike Sherman. Allen Rossum, a former Eagle, traded late in preseason to the Packers. Back deep as David Akers gets set to kick off. Short kick by Akers is fielded by rookie Gary Berry out of Ohio State. Berry takes it across the 25 to the 30-yard line. Chased down by Ike Reese after a return of 22 yards. Brett Favre makes his 128th consecutive start, a record for quarterbacks in the NFL. His numbers in last week's loss to the Buffalo Bills. Frank Winters playing in his 200th NFL game. Mark Tauscher replacing the injured Earl Dotson at right tackle. Dorsey Levens returns. He will start. The fullback is William Henderson. Freeman and Schrader, the wideouts. And the tight end is Tyrone Davis. Freeman in motion, 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. Off the play fake to Levens. Favre to the air on 1st down, and the catch is made by Bill Schrader at the 48. A gain of 18 yards. Troy Vincent made the stop.
Bill Schrader is the Packers' speed wide receiver. So what he does, he forces a receiver the coverage deep. So Troy Vincent's on him, and that lets Schrader break back to the inside because Vincent has to respect Schrader's deep speed. Packers offense wanted to be aggressive. They figured the Eagles D was going to blitz them. They want to answer that with deep passing.
Empty backfield, 4 wide receivers. Favre to the tight end, Tyrone Davis, into Philadelphia Eagles territory, a gain of 4. So it will be 2nd and 6 for the Packers. Defensively, for the Eagles, the front 4, Douglas, Thomas, Simon, and Mamula. Gardner with Trotter and the former Pittsburgh Steeler Carlos Emmons. The linebackers, Taylor and Vincent. The corners, Dawkins and Moore, the safeties. Vincent and Dawkins, both Pro Bowlers last season. First carry of the season for Dorsey Levens, and he gains 2 yards down to the Eagles' 46. Barry Gardner made the tackle, setting up 3rd and 4.
Now, one of the problems that the Eagles had last week against the Giants in the run game was when the ball went to the edge was the pursuit and holding the corner. That time, Eagles defense did a great job. They held up the corner. They made Levens run to the sideline, and Gardner, with his speed at linebacker, was able to catch him and run him down.
Two tight ends set, 3rd and 4. Favre off the pump fake. Has his man. It's the tight end Davis once again, but a penalty marker on the play. A gain of 7 yards from Favre to Davis, but it will be called back. Holding against the Packers.
And that's too bad. You know, here you saw on that play the efficiency of Brett Favre, and I talked about this offense being a complex machine.
Holding. Offense, number 78. 10-yard penalty. Repeat. 3rd down.
That's Ross Verba, who used to play tackle. Now he's at left guard because he's a physical guy. He's a mauler. So they put him in there, and they say, go ahead and be physical and maul people. And there you see him working on Hollis Thomas. And that was a real questionable call. I mean, that I didn't see the hold in that at all. And I'm a former defensive lineman.
However, the officials did, so it's 3rd and 14 for the Packers. 3 wide receivers set. They need to get to the Eagles' 42. Favre in trouble, taken down. Barry Gardner with the sack, his first of the season, along with Hugh Douglas. So the Eagles hold the Packers on their first possession.
Watch this pocket collapse. This is the ump cam, and you're going to see pressure coming from this side and from this side, and that's how you get a quarterback sack. Rarely does a sack come when just one guy gets a good pass rush. Usually it's 2 or 3.
Ryan Mitchell, the longtime Redskin. Mitchell from the 18. Terrific special teams effort led by Scott McGarrahan. Only a 2-yard return following the 49-yard punt by Josh Bidwell.
Look at the Philadelphia Eagles defense and their sack on quarterback Brett Favre. They're going to come from either side, and it's Hugh Douglas from the left and it's Mike Mamula from the right, and they each get half of a sack.
And following the punt, Eagles take over offensively from their own 21-yard line. Donovan McNabb in his 2nd NFL season out of Syracuse makes his 9th National Football League start. Deuce Staley in the backfield with Cecil Watson. Charles Johnson in motion. It's Staley up to the 25-yard line, a gain of 4. Deuce Staley gained over 200 yards on the ground week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. Donovan McNabb, 2 rushing touchdowns over the first 2 games. Runyon, big free agent signing during the offseason from the Tennessee Titans. Todd Pinkston starting for the injured Torrance Small at wideout. On 2nd and 6, McNabb makes the connection for the first down, and a terrific second effort by Deuce Staley after the 38-yard line, finally taken down by Leroy Butler after a gain of 12.
Great timing pass by Donovan McNabb on the quick slant.
Let's meet the Packers defense. Theory with Dotson, Maryland, and Vonnie Holliday up front. The rookie Diggs with Bernardo Harris and Nate Wayne, the linebackers. Todd McBride starting at left corner for the injured Antoine Edwards. 1st and 10 Eagles from their own 38-yard line. 3 wide receivers set, quick drop, and the quick slam is broken up by the free safety, Darren Sharper.
Well, this is Luther Broughton, the tight end for the Eagles. He's split wide like a wide receiver, so Sharper's on him, and they try to run a quick slant pass. Sharper just makes a beautiful play. He reacts, redirects, and gets right in front of that football. Dangerous pass, dangerous throw by Donovan McNabb.
On 2nd and 10. Brian Mitchell across the 40 to the 42. Nate Wayne made the tackle after a gain of 5.
And so far we've seen 2 Eagles runs, and both of them have gone to the right side, right over John Runyon. They wanted to let Runyon, who's over in here, they want to let him work. They want to let him get on Vonnie Holliday. See him working there? Look at him pushing. Look at him pushing, working. I mean, he blocks Vonnie Holliday completely out of that play and opens up the run game.
The umpire, Ron Bonchin, wearing the helmet cam for us this afternoon. Off the play fake to Staley. McNabb's pass is caught. Another first down. Stanley Pritchett, the former Dolphin, gains 9 yards. Scott McGarrahan forced him out.
I'll tell you, this Eagles offense, they run the West Coast too, just like the Green Bay Packers. So you want to rely on these short kind of passes as a mix-up to your run game. Again, it's a nice, safe, easy pass for Donovan McNabb, and there's some nice setup of that play downfield.
First down in Packers territory from the Green Bay 49. Here's Staley cutting to the outside. Penalty marker. Staley forced out of bounds at the 47-yard line by Tyrone Williams after a gain of 2, but a flag down on the play.
That's going to be holding against Charles Johnson, the wide receiver. And he was blocking Leroy Butler, the Packers' safety. It's just what they talked about in the pregame show. The importance of receiver blocking the run game.
Offense, number 81, 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
You know, the Eagles felt that they didn't get the kind of blocking from their wide receivers last week. And this is what I talked about, blocking and tackling. And sometimes blocking is a wide receiver. And there it is right there. Watch him here. Now watch him working on Butler. And there it is. Now that is a hold. There's the line judge. He sees it, throws his flag. And the Eagles offense is in a hole.
1st and 20. Back at their own 41. The inside handoff to Staley, and he's bottled up. Cledius Hunt was the first one there, number 97 for the Packers, forcing Staley back for a loss of a yard.
And really, the strength of the Eagles offensive line is in their tackles. But if you just consistently run outside, then what the defensive players do is they start to cheat to the outside. So you have to mix it up. You have to run some of those plays to the inside to keep these guys right in here honest.
McNabb on 2nd and 20, dumps it off. Staley cut down at the 48 by Todd McBride after a gain of 8. So it will be 3rd and long for the Eagles.
You have to have tried to break up a screenplay to understand how good that play was by McBride, because he had a wall of offensive linemen in front of him. They were positioned perfectly. The screen developed perfectly for the offense, and McBride just slithered through between them and brought down Staley.
McBride starting today for the injured Antoine Edwards. Mike McKenzie also out. A depleted secondary for the Packers. 3rd and 13. McNabb under pressure. He escapes, rolling right, and then throws it away.
You know, this is what Donovan McNabb brings to the game better than any other quarterback. Packers come with the blitz. Linebackers on him right away. Look at that. I mean, he didn't go down there. He doesn't go down there. He's able to get away under a lot of pressure.
So former Eagle Allen Rossum awaiting the punt from ex-Packer Sean Landeta. It's old home week here in Green Bay. Good kick by Landeta. Rossum back at the 4 is forced back. Rashard Cook, the first man downfield on special teams, along with Ike Reese. 48-yard kick by Landeta. A loss of 1 on the return, and the Packers are pinned deep in their own territory. From their own 3-yard line. Green Bay with a record of 0-2, their first 0-2 start since 1992. Mike Holmgren's first season at the helm, and they have struggled offensively over the first 2 games, averaging only 242 total yards and 51 rushing yards without Dorsey Levens.
And again, that goes back to the balance. For this offense to be working well, they need to be throwing the ball well, as Brett Favre did last week in Buffalo, but they also need a better run game than they had last week.
Antonio Freeman in motion. The handoff to Levens. No gain on the play as we send you back to the Fox Network Center for an NFL to the very unusual position. They're trailing.
Yeah, and at home, too.
Goldman on the line, penalty markers.
Yeah, that was crafty by Frank Winters, the center. He said, told me before the game, this is 14 and I want to get 15.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense, number 4. Penalty be assessed half the distance to the goal. Repeat, second down.
They must be calling Brett Favre for the hard count. Because when the defensive tackle went across the line, Frank Winters snaps the ball. When he sees a guy get into the neutral zone here, he snaps the ball. But you could see Brett Favre's head move just a little bit, and he was giving the hard count. So that's kind of an unusual call. It's a good call. I like it as a defensive lineman. You hope to stop the quarterback from doing that.
Dorsey Levens takes the handoff. No running room. Carlos Emmons made the tackle. So the Packers now looking at 3rd and 11 from their own 2.
This is blocking, tackling, basic football. Watch Emmons on the tight end. Here he gets right up, closes down on Franks, and there's the tackle.
Emmons came over during the offseason after 4 years in Pittsburgh. Far from the end zone on 3rd and 11. The pass is picked off. Penalty marker. Jeremiah Trotter with the interception. A penalty marker on the play. Brett Favre signals holding. And he's correct. Holding against the Eagles.
Holding. Defense, number 23, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Well, the hold actually had nothing to do with the interception, so it's too bad. Here's Troy Vincent, the cornerback. He's on Schrader, and we talked about that speed, and there's just a little bit of a grab on the shoulder pad. Watch how well this is defended by Jeremiah Trotter. He just steps right in front of that seam pass and picks it off.
So a huge turn of events for the Packers. They go from 3rd and 11 from the 2 to an automatic first down as Levens finds some running room before he was finally brought down by the combination of Emmons and Damon Moore, a gain of 7 yards.
And did you see Dorsey Levens run through the first tackle? Hollis Thomas, an enormous man, big man right there in the middle, and Thomas came right through, clean on Levens, right on his legs. Levens ran through it.
Dorsey Levens missed the last 4 games, the final 2 preseason games and the first 2 regular season games following arthroscopic surgery on his left knee. It's Levens again. Out to the 17-yard line, close to the first down.
And this is the offensive balance that head coach Mike Sherman is looking for. And Brett Favre yesterday was so anxious to get Dorsey Levens back, to have that run game going.
Packers set franchise lows over the first 2 games of a season in terms of rushing yards, carries, and first downs. Only 2 rushing first downs the last 2 weeks. Off the play fake, Favre on first down. Takes off and slides up to the 24-yard line. So a gain of 6 on first down for Brett Favre.
Now, this is something that Brett Favre used to do all the time, but hasn't done as much anymore. Now, there's some good coverage. Bobby Taylor here on Schrader, and he's got a safety over the top. So there's no place to throw there for Brett Favre. And then Antonio Freeman comes to the middle of the field, and there's trails for him, and then you see Bobby Taylor sliding over in his zone to cover him up.
Get down here! 318! Red Omar! Come on,
On 2nd and 5, Amon Green, who started the last 2 games for Dorsey Levens. Green's first carry of the game. And he's taken down by Jeremiah Trotter after a pickup of 2 yards.
And that's the same type of run play we talked about earlier, where the Eagles last week gave up the corner of the defense. This time they held strong on the corner, and everyone flowed out there. There's Jim Johnson, the defensive coordinator. The key word for the Eagles this week was aggressiveness. They want to be more aggressive on defense, and the coaches want to be more aggressive with their play calling.
Third and 3. Off the play fake to Henderson. Favre with the pass to the tight end, Tyrone Davis. It's caught for another Packers first down. Nice grab by Davis.
And this is just why Brett Favre means something. When you say Brett Favre, and it means something to every football fan. Look at this here. I mean, he just evades the rush, evades the sack, finds the open receiver downfield, and delivers the ball.
A gain of 14 yards. Second catch of the day for Davis. From the 37, the inside handoff to Levens. 8-yard gain out to the 45-yard line. Brian Dawkins, Barry Gardner made the stop.
You know, there was some really nice blocking on this play by the Packers offensive line. I want you to watch Marco Rivera right here, the guard. Watch him here. He comes down on a double team, and he wipes off the first guy and then gets out onto the linebacker. Nice work up front.
Remember, the Packers started this drive all the way back at their own 3-yard line. From the 45, Favre airing it out, looking for Schrader, and it's picked off by Brian Dawkins.
This is that aggressive Eagles defense we talked about. Jim Johnson sending people on a blitz. Watch, here come the linemen. Here come the linebackers right up the pipe. There's Trotter and Emmons. They're in on it. And Trotter comes free on Favre. Favre forces the throw, and that's something you don't want to do with safety Brian Dawkins in the neighborhood.
His first interception of the season. Just over 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter from Lambeau Field. Brett Favre intercepted for the second time this season. Brian Dawkins with his first of the year.
First trip to the Pro Bowl after last season.
So the Eagles start from their own 10-yard line. McNabb to Staley. To Staley. All the way out to the 30, a gain of 20 yards.
Remember we talked before when McBride made such a nice play on the screen? Well, this time, none of the Packers defenders was able to slip through that wall, because a screen pass really begins with letting the defensive lineman through, and then the second step is to set up the wall downfield, the blockers downfield, and then to give the running back a hole downfield in the defense.
First down from the 30-yard line. Staley takes it up to the 34. 4-yard pickup. Bernardo Harris made the tackle as we send it back to JB at the Fox Network Center. Oh, and they have not yet scored an offensive touchdown.
And they still haven't. But as Howie talked about on the pregame, that defensive front seven is very tough.
On 2nd and 5, some confusion on the handoff attempt. And McNabb is hit for a loss by John Theory.
You know, these are the kind of broken plays that can change the momentum and change the outcome of a game. And you say, well, maybe the Packers defense got lucky because there was a mishap on the exchange with Donovan McNabb. But the fact of the matter is, when that happened, Santana Dotson and John Theory were both right back there waiting for him.
Third and and 15. 4 wide receivers for the Eagles. McNabb over the top to Staley. Deuce still on his feet. And he looks to have the first down. He needed 15. He gained 16.
Well, there aren't a lot of running backs that you could dump this ball off to with 10 yards still to go and feel confident that they have a good chance to pick up the first down.
Well, that will do it for the first quarter from Green Bay. We'll return after a word from your local station. Back in Green Bay, no score as we start the second quarter. Eagles picked up the first down on the last play. Johnson in motion. Eagles from their own 41. Off the play fake to Staley. McNabb takes it out of bounds up at the 44-yard line. After a gain of 3, he was chased out by Niall Diggs.
And this is just so frustrating as a defensive line. Watch Russell Maryland, Bonnie Holiday. Look at them. Watch them come through. They're come through clean. They've got McNabb in their sights, but the guy just has such incredible speed and running ability that he turns what should be a negative play into a positive play.
Last year, despite starting only 6 games, he finished 4th in the NFL among quarterbacks in rushing yards. Staley works his way to the 47-yard line. Darren Sharper made the tackle after a gain of 3. So it will be 3rd and 4 for the Eagles.
Now, Donovan McNabb runs the ball so well that I was prompted yesterday to ask Andy Reid, the head coach, don't you just want to have him run the ball more? I mean, they will do some naked boots and quarterback draws. And he looked at me and said, no. And the reason why he doesn't want to is because McNabb is so valuable as a passer. Look at his numbers right there. 5 for 7. He's a very efficient, effective passer.
McNabb to Charles Johnson. Out at midfield, looks to be about a half-yard shy of the first down marker.
It's going to depend on the spot here. The matchup the Eagles were looking for and got was actually Allen Rossum, who is the Packers' emergency cornerback, locked up on Charles Johnson, their #1 wide receiver. So they put Johnson in motion, and there he is at the bottom of the screen, and then Rossum comes and makes a pretty nice tackle.
And now Rossum back deep. Landetta from his own 40-yard line. Another good kick by Landetta.
Too good.
But he put a little too much on it. Bounces through the end zone. 50-yard punt. And the Packers will start from their own 20. Back in Green Bay, still no score. Week 3, Packers and the Eagles. Big week, Tim, here in Green Bay. The vote on Tuesday. Local sales tax was approved. So Lambeau Field will undergo a complete renovation over the next 3 years. Favre's pass deflected. Nice play again. Troy Vincent getting a piece of it.
Yeah, this is nice defense by Troy Vincent. And this is Brett Favre basically being aggressive with his pass, just throwing it up and saying, okay, free, you make a play. Here you are, you just run a stop, and he throws that ball a little off center on Freeman. You have to remember, Brett Favre's elbow is still not healthy. He's still playing with an arm that a lot of people would be on the sideline on the bench with.
Favre on 2nd and 10, connects with Levens. Levens spins across the 30 to the 34 for a Packers first down, a gain of 14 yards.
Dorsey Levens brings diversity in the offense, not just with the run game, but with the short pass. Here's the screen pass, another screen. You see the blockers out front. There's Winters and Verba, and then he just jukes Brian Dawkins and spins for the first down. Levens has a great feel for the open field on that screen pass.
And Favre has such a comfort level with Dorsey Levens after spending 7 years together. Favre on first down fires to the 42-yard line to the tight end. Tyrone Davis, his third catch of the first half for a gain of 8.
And this is the difference between a very veteran quarterback and a young quarterback. When Brett Favre is in trouble, he can go not just to his second, not just to his third, but even to a fourth receiver in his progression. He can look around and find him.
Levens on 2nd and 2 is stopped about a yard short by the combination of Barry Gardner and Damon Moore.
And that's just fundamental tackling. I mean, this is what we talked about. This is what the Eagles did in week 1, and they need to do today. There it is. Watch Gardner. Watch him slide down the line, get right up underneath, lower his pads, and make the play.
The view from the hat of the umpire, Ron Botchin. Freeman in motion on 3rd and 1. Favre hits the fullback, William Henderson. Barry Gardner came up to make the tackle.
I think that, we got to get a replay of this, because it looked to me like when he went down, he had the ball across the line.
Looked like he reached across.
Yeah. And they're going to mark this. It looks like they're going to mark it short. Take a look at it here. It's just a quick swing pass to Henderson. And watch him here. See, I think that ball should have been spotted out here. And they got it anyway.
So Henderson did a nice job as he was tackled, as he was going down, reaching out across the plane and picking up the first down. Early second quarter, Packers from their own 44-yard line. Nice catch by Levens, but a gain of just 1. Jeremiah Trotter forced him out of bounds.
You know, really, Brett Favre wanted to go deeper downfield on this, but the Eagles defense, we talked about, okay, well, what does it mean? Aggressive. It's an aggressive game. Here's an aggressive game plan. Watch Vincent come right up on Schrader, and he just jams him. He gets into him, and he prevents Schrader from getting deep down in that pattern, so Brett Favre has to go to the dump-off.
How much does Dorsey Levens mean to this offense? 19 plays, 9 touches for Levens. Off the play fake. 4th catch of the day for Tyrone Davis, and a terrific tackle. Ball pops loose. Bobby Taylor made the tackle. And the Eagles have recovered.
Bobby Taylor makes an enormous defensive play on this. First of all, he reads the play. He reads the tight end screen. He gets upfield, avoids the blockers, and now he's got the tackle. And now watch him rip that ball free. That's big-time defense, big-time tackling, and the Eagles have the edge again.
Brandon Whiting with the recovery. Back in Green Bay, still no score. As we mentioned earlier, both head coaches, Mike Sherman and Andy Reid, were on Mike Holmgren's staff here in Green Bay in '97 and '98. There they are, right next to each other in the team picture.
A couple of pretty good-sized coaches, you know.
They used to fight over pizza on Thursday nights. Yep. Andy Reid told us last night.
A couple former offensive linemen themselves.
Mike Sherman sent 2 emails to Andy Reid this week. He said Andy never wrote back. You talk about Y2K coaching. Could you imagine Vince Lombardi sending Paul Brown an email?
And Mike Reid's got, Mike Sherman's got computers in the locker room.
From the 49, A nice play by Tyrone Williams, the right cornerback, breaking up McNabb's pass. As we send you to the Fox Network Center for another NFL update with James Brown.
Kenny and Tim, can you believe it? 41 points by Tampa Bay last week. Look at him this week. A 43-yard pass play to Jacquez Green. That sets up Mike Allstott on his bull run from 4 yards out. It's 14-3. Tampa Bay, that was in the first quarter, start of the second. Back to Kenny and Tim.
So Mike Allstott, who came into the game today, tied for first in the NFL with 3 rushing touchdowns, picks up his 4th. A little trickery as Brian Mitchell tosses it back to Deuce Staley. Mitchell took the initial handoff, and then he flipped it back, and a penalty marker after the play.
We talk about aggressive play calling. They pulled the option out of the college playbook.
Tony Correnti, our referee this afternoon.
During the continuing action after the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, offense, 15-yard penalty, repeat, 2nd down.
Somebody else asking who was it. And the word is coming from downstairs that it may have been John Runyon. There's Runyon right there, 69. See him? There he goes.
Yep, there it is.
Boy, come on. I mean, that's being a little sensitive.
Second and 14. McNabb throws it downfield. Could not find anyone. He was under pressure, so it will be 3rd and long for the Eagles.
I think he found his tight end, Chad Lewis, but I don't think Lewis was on the same page. Lewis was looking to block. And I'm pretty sure that Lewis was thinking McNabb's going to take this thing and run with it. Again, you see the incredible elusiveness of Donovan McNabb. There comes the blitz from the outside, so he skips that, runs up through the line. He and Lewis are not in sync on the scramble.
Just to clarify, that Runyon penalty took place after the run, so the penalty was marked off from the spot following Staley's 11-yard pickup. McNabb's pass on 3rd down deflected at the line.
How about Allen Rossum was the guy who deflected it? I mean, he's a return man and an emergency cornerback.
And he's all of 5'8".
And the Packers defense coach Ed Donatel lets the guy come after his old teammates. Watch him here. Look at him slip right through there. He's banging around, and he gets a piece of that ball to stop the Eagles' drive and really nullify the turnover.
You think Rossum's fired up today?
Oh, yeah.
Eagles traded him in late August. And Rossum calls for the fair catch back at the 11. A 42-yard punt by Landeta. No score from Green Bay. We mentioned earlier Brett Favre making his 128th consecutive start, dating back to 1992. 9 Eagles starters since Favre's streak began.
During that same time, it took all these guys to do what that one guy's done. And it's amazing the durability and really the toughness of Brett Favre, because as we said earlier, he still has a lot of pain and a lot of swelling and aggravation in that right elbow, his throwing elbow. He said, forget about the thumb that I hurt. I can't even think about that.
Packers stop from their own 12-yard line. Favre under pressure and is taken down for the 2nd time today by Hugh Douglas.
You know, Hugh Douglas is going to get this sack, and he has been hot all season long. Here he is. But I want you to also watch from the right side. Watch Mike Mamula, because he's the guy that forces Favre to step right up into the arms of Hugh Douglas. Remember I said before, when you get a sack, usually it's at least 2 or 3 defensive linemen breaking free.
Douglas, who had 12.5 sacks 2 years ago, but played in only 4 games for the Eagles last year. Off to a terrific start this season. The pitch to Levens, and he is upended by Mike Mamula.
You know, you talk about aggressiveness on the defense, and again, aggressive play by Mike Mamula, but Jim Johnson, the coordinator, has been calling an aggressive game. 21 plays, 6 of them have been blitzes, so 29% of the time, almost 1 in every 3, this Eagles defense is getting an aggressive play call to go with their aggressive play.
And that's exactly what they did against Troy Aikman and the Cowboys 2 weeks ago. They knocked Aikman out of the game.
And they're pressing, too, down here with their cornerbacks.
Packers keep it on the ground on 3rd and 14, and Levens brings it out to the 20, a gain of 12, but he stopped 2 yards shy of the first down marker.
And the reason why they go with Dorsey Levens as an option instead of the pass is because Troy Vincent and Bobby Taylor are doing such a nice job with their coverage. Well, there's Vincent right there, and he's all over it. And then watch Al Harris down here with a nice jam on Schrader.
Josh Bidwell back at his own 5. Brian Mitchell takes it at the 32. Looks to cut back inside. Penalty marker on the return. An 11-yard return by Mitchell up to the 43-yard line following the 48-yard punt by Bidwell. And it's against Philadelphia.
During the return of the kick, holding, receiving team number 43, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Damon Moore called for the hold. Midway through the second quarter from Green Bay, still no score.
Whenever the Packers have gotten something going, and that Eagles defense has come up with a couple big turnovers. The interception by Dawkins, and then the strip and the fumble recovery by Bobby Taylor. So although the offense for the Eagles has not held the ball very long today, about 8.5 minutes to the Packers 13.5, their defense has been able to get it back into their hands.
Eagles have had the ball 3 times. They punted 3 times. On first down, McNabb with loads of time goes over the middle. The intended receiver was Chad Lewis, but the pass was a bit short, and it deflected off the middle linebacker Bernardo Harris.
Yeah, this ball is underthrown by Donovan McNabb. What he has to do, and he knows it better than I do, he's got to stretch the seam here. And Harris has good coverage, but see how Chad Lewis has to come back to the football? And Donovan needs to stretch him. Lewis had a remarkable catch last week against the Giants right down the center of the field. Same type of play.
He caught a career-high 4 balls last week. Staley looks to cut it back inside. Nate Wayne made the tackle. A gain of 6 yards, so it will be 3rd and 4 for the Eagles.
Well, I'll tell you, I wouldn't have wanted to be Darren Sharper on that last play, because they pulled Big John Runyon out, 6'7", 350 pounds of him, and Sharper was out there trying to hold the corner of the defense, and Runyon came at him full speed and just buried him. All right, this is a big, physical offensive lineman with a nasty streak.
3rd and 4 off the play fake to Staley. Pass is caught for a first down, so the Eagles drive continues. It's the fullback Cecil Martin out of the University of Wisconsin.
This is that diversity of that offense. You know, you get things going, you run, you pass, and then you throw it to your fullback on a little swing pass right out of the backfield. No one even had Martin covered. Watch it here. Little play action, and there he is. No one's even close to Cecil Martin.
First down in Packers territory from the Green Bay 49. And coming back to make the catch is Charles Johnson after the deflection.
Boy, Charles Johnson really does a nice job of coming back to this. You're going to see Nate Wayne, one of the linebackers, he almost gets it. Watch Wayne jump, he gets his hand on it, and that takes some of the velocity off the ball, and it's a remarkable concentration by Johnson to follow it after the tip.
Second catch of the day by Johnson. A gain of 8 yards, setting up 2nd and 2. Johnson in motion. Deuce Staley up the middle. Close to the first down marker.
And where do they run? When you need the short, tough yards, right behind your Runyon. And, you know, whenever you bring a guy in, he came from the Titans, and you pay him a tremendous amount of money, and you say this guy is going to set the tone for our offensive line. Physically, mentally, he's going to set the tone. So when you're in a critical situation, that's where you run.
Andy Reid calls John Runyon the best right tackle in the NFL. Staley was stopped just short. 3rd and 1. This time Staley cut it to the outside, has the first down at the Green Bay 37. Bernardo Harris made the stop. But the Eagles moved the chains with under 5 minutes remaining in the first half.
Now we're talking about Runyon, and again, so they run right to him. Watch, he's going to get 2 blocks on this play. And that's a pretty good value. First, he knocks the defensive end in. Then he picks off the linebacker. Actually, I think he got 3. I think he got 2 linebackers and a defensive end on that play. It's worth $6 million a year, isn't it?
McNabb on the slant. Hitting the tight end, Luther Broughton. And Broughton gains another first down, a 10-yard pickup.
I remember right at the beginning of the game, we said if the Eagles are going to get back to where they were in week 1, it's not so much what Donovan McNabb. We kind of believe that McNabb's going to be at a high level. It's the surrounding cast. And now in this series here, we're starting to see Andy Reid's surrounding cast making some very nice plays to help the young quarterback.
From the 26, the pitch to Staley. And Staley is taken down by David Bowens, the former Bronco. No gain on the play.
And that was perfectly defended by the Packers defense. Because when an offensive run play goes to the sideline, you just want to keep it going that way. You want to keep it going and don't let them get going upfield. And the longer you can keep it going, the more of the backside defenders can rally to the ball to make the tackle.
3 minutes remaining, second quarter. 3 wide receivers set on 2nd and 10. Ryan Mitchell looks to go up the middle, and he is forced back by a trio of Packers led by Cledius Hunt. So nowhere to run for the Eagles on the last 2 plays. Now 3rd and 10. 3rd and 9 officially from the Green Bay 26-yard line. McNabb's pass off the fingertips of the intended receiver, Nate Brown, who missed the first 2 games with a broken hand. Todd McBride on the coverage.
And Todd McBride really has some nice coverage and forces this to be a difficult pass. Watch Nate Brown. He's just going to break into a quick out cut here. He gets to the sticks. Now he breaks it. Watch McBride recover. And because McBride has such good recovery, it forces McNabb to throw that, make Nate Brown stretch with that broken hand.
So David Akers with Coy Detmer holding, out to attempt a 43-yard field goal. Packers call timeout with just over 2 minutes remaining. First half. Still no score from Lambeau. Next, it's game.
To see if the Chicago Bears can regroup after the drubbing they took down in Tampa Bay last week, 41-0. And quarterback Cade McNown, another young quarterback in this league, struggled a lot. He had trouble completing passes and he had trouble with turnovers.
The Bears played well week 1 in Minnesota. They led most of the way before losing by 3.
Neither of those things has been trouble for the Eagles' young quarterback Donovan McNabb today.
From the left hash mark, 43-yard attempt. Akers' longest attempt of the season. And his kick is good. So the Eagles are on the scoreboard first as we hit the 2-minute warning. Here in Green Bay, it's the Eagles 3 and the Packers nothing. James Cameron of Titanic fame.
And the Terminator.
And the Terminator.
Right? I mean,
yes.
She's like a rebuilt person, right? Or some kind of cyborg.
We'll have to tune in October 3rd on Fox. Alan Rossum and Gary Berry back deep. Akers kickoff taken at the 1 by Rossum. Rossum across the 25-yard line. Mike Caldwell, special teams captain, made the stop for Philadelphia. Left or right on Packerland Drive? What'd you do?
So you take a right on Packerland Drive.
And then where do you go?
And then that brings you to Lombardi Ave. You make a left on Lombardi. You go down a little bit ways. You come to Brett Favre Pass. And you make a right on Favre Pass, and then his restaurants are on the left, Brett Favre Steakhouse, and we had a pretty good steak there.
We certainly did.
I was a little disappointed Brett didn't send over some champagne, though.
If you knew you were there, his former roommate in Atlanta. People may not remember, and there is the Brett Favre Steakhouse.
Beautiful.
People may not remember that Brett Favre began his career as an Atlanta Falcon back in 1991. Favre's pass is caught by the tight end Bubba Franks up at the 30-yard line. A gain of 5. Mike Caldwell wrapped him up.
And Franks is a guy the Packers want to work into their offense more and more. Young first-round draft choice, a lot of talent, good hands, needs to work on getting off the line of scrimmage better.
4 wide receivers in the game. As Favre's pass is caught. Nice catch by Antonio Freeman for a Packers first down. Bobby Taylor made contact. Freeman picks up 8.
Beautiful catch by Freeman, but Bobby Taylor is playing a real physical defensive game today. We saw him with the tackle and the strip pass earlier, and even though this is a completion for the Packers, Taylor left his number.
There's Taylor, who stripped the ball earlier, forcing a Packers turnover. New center in the game for Green Bay, number 58, Mike Flanagan. Frank Winters suffered a sprained ankle. His return is questionable. Off the pump fake, Favre's pass intended for Bubba Franks is nearly picked off by Brian Dawkins.
Boy, nice pressure. Again, Bobby Taylor with the pressure. And another Philadelphia Eagles blitz. This time they bring him from the slot, but they bring a cornerback on the blitz. You're going to see Taylor come right here. Look at him, 21 right there, right up the seam. A little bit of a hello to Brett Favre.
Packers have 2 timeouts remaining. 2nd and 10. 4 wide receivers set. And Favre's pass is incomplete. He was looking for Bubba Franks once again. Mike Mamula on the coverage.
And that's one of the things that Mamula gives you. They run a zone blitz, but Mamula has the ability to be a pass rusher, but also the athleticism to drop back and cover up one of those vacated zones from the blitzing defensive backs.
Muller, the former first-round draft pick out of Boston College. 3rd and 10 for the Packers from their own 38. Here comes Hugh Douglas. Favre gets the pass away, and it's off the fingertips of a diving Antonio Freeman.
And Freeman looks like he's hurt. Well, Hugh Douglas is the guy that makes this play happen. Have no doubt, Mike Wall, 68 for the Packers, is working man-to-man, just singled up on Douglas. He's got to block him, and that's no easy task. Douglas comes up under him, races around him, and really affects the throw by Brett Favre.
So Antonio Freeman is shaken up. It's been a tough season so far for wide receivers in the NFC as the Green Bay Packers medical staff attends to Antonio Freeman. Lost Joey Galloway for the season week 1 in the game against the Eagles. And then last week, Washington's Michael Westbrook suffered an ACL injury. He is out for the year.
This injury with McNeil isn't, with Freeman, isn't an ACL. It looked like he fell on his own arm. Here he comes across the center of the field here. Doesn't get hit, just lands on his own elbow.
Josh Bidwell punting for the 3rd time. End over end kick. Brian Mitchell. Fair catch at the 13-yard line. 49-yard punt by Bidwell with 1:06 remaining.
So congratulations to Howie Long, one of the great players in the game.
Howie inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in July. From the 13, nice coverage. Scott McGarahan, 3rd-year safety out of New Mexico, breaking up the pass attempt.
Yeah, the coverage on this is really nice by McGarahan, and I'm a little surprised that Donovan McNabb isn't looking deeper downfield, because he had the matchup that he wanted yesterday in Charles Johnson being covered by Allen Rawson.
Eagles spread the field, 4 wide receivers. McNabb takes off. Donovan McNabb has the first down on the quarterback draw. A gain of 11 yards, and McNabb calls the Eagles' first timeout as Antonio Freeman heads off to the Packers locker room.
And we'll take a look at Donovan McNabb running this play. Really, the ump cam is the perfect spot to see it, because the ump is right there in the center of the field. And you just see how quick he moves through that hole in the offensive line. Thanks to Ron Bachan.
Ron, who was Matt Millen's mentor along the way during the officials training camp.
Yeah. There's the camera right there.
Matt worked,
amazing what you can do with technology.
Matt worked with Ron prior to Matt's appearance as the umpire during the Tampa Bay New England preseason game.
I think it's hard for people to realize how difficult that job is and how fast and furious things are right there in the center of all this action.
Right in the middle of the play.
Yeah, that's a dangerous spot.
Following the timeout, 1st and 10 from the 25. McNabb going deep, and it's picked off by Darren Sharper. The pass intended for the rookie Todd Pinkston. Sharper with his 2nd interception of the season.
This is just an inexperienced quarterback's throw, because Sharper has great position as a safety, and also the ball is underthrown slightly. So Pinkston beats the initial coverage, but Sharper, the safety, reads it, sees it, and gets in perfect position.
39 seconds remaining in the half. Packers have 2 timeouts. They start from their own 44. Favre's pass complete to the tight end, Bubba Franks. Jeremiah Trotter was right there to make the stop after a gain of 4. And the Packers use their second timeout with 33 seconds remaining.
I really like that tackle by Trotter. Again, you know, we really have seen this Eagles defense do some nice tackling. I mean, they've played sound, fundamental football. Tackles, turnovers, stripping the ball, controlling the line of scrimmage at times.
The Eagles defense came on strong the latter portion of last season. In fact, the Eagles led the entire NFL in takeaways. They forced 46 turnovers last year, more than any other team. They forced 2 today.
You see there the effectiveness of the Eagles defense so far today. Whenever a drive did get going, they came up with a turnover.
Favre on second down, going deep, looking for Schrader, and it's broken up by Troy Vincent.
It's going to be a first down for the Packers, though.
Roughing the passer.
Yeah, Hugh Douglas came through and I believe went helmet to helmet with Brett Favre. And that will be a hefty fine on top of the penalty for
Personal
Douglas.
foul, defense number 53. Roughing the quarterback, helmet-to-helmet contact, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
You know, the hard thing is, here's Douglas here. Watch him work to the center, and you're working through, you break through a double team, but you can't get that helmet-to-helmet. So you're coming through, and your whole focus is on violence and getting through. And then when you get there, you know, it goes against all your instincts, but you've got to pull back on the quarterback. Those are the rules.
From the 37-yard line, here comes Douglas again. Favre's pass is deflected by Brian Dawkins. The intended receiver was the rookie out of Central Florida, Charles Lee.
You know, I think on that pass there, you saw the injury take its effect on Brett Favre, because he just had to loft this football, and that enables Dawkins to cover and recover. And that's the kind of pass normally a healthy Brett Favre just delivers it right on the line.
Favre has completed only 1 of his last 5 attempts. 2nd and 10 from the 37. 3 wide receivers. And the play clock wound all the way down.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense, number 65. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
So the rookie Mark Tauscher moved before the play clock hit 0.
Now he's replacing Earl Dotson at that right tackle position, but you know, Dotson had so much trouble with his back that the Packers felt that, you know, they didn't have that big of a drop-off with Tauscher coming in. He had an impressive training camp, and he replaced Dotson a lot during the preseason because of Dotson's injury.
This is Tauscher's first NFL start, but he played most of the game last week. Favre on 2nd and 15, throws it away at a late flag. Late flag in the defensive secondary.
There is no foul for intentional grounding. The quarterback had rolled out of the pocket.
So once the quarterback is out of the pocket, he can throw it away as long as it crosses the line of scrimmage.
It goes at or near the line of scrimmage. Here's your tight ends. So there's the pocket right there. So he's pretty much got to get over the hash. I'll tell you what, it's pretty close.
Defense, number 20, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So that was the late flag, holding on Dawkins. Clock now down to 15 seconds. Remaining second quarter. 3-0. Eagles with the lead.
This is where it hurts not to have Antonio Freeman.
Favre under pressure. Pass intended for Schrader. Late hit, Troy Vincent. Took out the legs from underneath Schrader.
And that just gave the Packers a nice shot at a field goal. Yeah, there was no need for Troy Vincent to do what he does on this play because, you know, Schrader is so obviously out of bounds.
After the conclusion of the play,
and that's a dangerous
personal
hit.
foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 23, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
The 7th Eagles penalty of this first half. So now 10 seconds on the clock. First down from the Philadelphia 22.
Packers with one timeout.
Favre looking end zone, deflected at the last instant by Bobby Taylor. Pass intended for Donald Driver in the end zone, and another terrific play by the Eagles right cornerback.
But Taylor is having a beautiful day today. Watch him just get himself into position and just tip that football. Look how high Taylor leaps to tap that thing.
So now with 5 seconds to go in the half, Ryan Longwell out to attempt a 40-yard field goal. Matt Hasselbeck is the holder. And Longwell's kick is wide to the left. He had hit 10 in a row over the last 2 seasons. Longwell missing to the left. So the score at halftime, the Philadelphia Eagles 3 and the Green Bay Packers nothing. Packers with 2 turnovers and a missed field goal.
The aggressive play of the Philadelphia Eagles came up with those turnovers. It also led to Troy Vincent's penalty, which gave the Packers a shot at that field goal. But with the field goal missed, it's for naught.
Eagles head coach Andy Reid is standing by with our Drew Smith. Drew?
Andy, homecoming to Lambeau Field, you've got the lead going into halftime, but got to be disappointed some of the sloppy play on defense at the end.
Well, I thought both sides were. We've got to tighten it up and get it going right here.
What do you need to do to be able to contain Brett and just continue that through the next half?
Can't tell you that. I got to show it to you. All right? We'll come out the second half and give it a whirl.
All right, thanks a lot, Andy. Send it back upstairs.
All right, thanks very much, Drew. Andy Reid, Brett Favre's former quarterbacks coach here in Green Bay, and his Eagles lead at the half 3-0.
It was an honest answer. He's not going to tell us. He's going to show us. He certainly has to be pleased with a 3-0 lead here at Lambeau Field and the way that his defense is tackled and the way his offensive line is blocked.
The Cheeseheads out in full force with the Eagles leading 3-0. We'll return after this and a word from your local Fox station. To the left, which will include a pro shop, a Hall of Fame stadium club, and the team offices, plus luxury boxes as well. And this is homecoming weekend here in Green Bay. A number of former Packers being introduced to the crowd and receiving tremendous ovations here at halftime, including, there he is, Hall of Famer Bart Starr, former Packers head coach as well. On homecoming weekend here at Lambeau Field, with the 2000 version of the Packers trailing the Philadelphia Eagles 3-0. We'll return after these messages from your local Fox station. Leading the Green Bay Packers at halftime by a score of 3-0 as we welcome you back to Lambeau Field. Kenny Albert along with Tim Green, and the story of the first half as far as the Eagles defense was concerned, turnovers.
Well, it's really been the story of both teams. It's been a defensive football game. We haven't seen a lot of offense, and as we said before, when the Packers were able to get a couple drives going, the Eagles defense answered with a couple turnovers. First an interception, and then this strip fumble by Bobby Taylor. But the Packers defense hasn't been idle either. They came up with this interception right before half, which set them up, put them in field goal range, and actually gave them a shot to even the score, but the kick was missed. And here you see the stats pretty equal, even in time of possession, even in yardage. Eagles with a little bit of an edge. Close, you've got a good chance.
Ryan Longwell gets the second half underway. Brian Mitchell takes it out from the 2-yard line. Mitchell cutting to the outside, still on his feet, flag on the play. A 44-yard return by Mitchell, finally forced out of bounds by Allen Rossum.
Holding, receiving team, number 86. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Alex Van Dyke.
If anything has undone the Eagles, it's been penalties. 7 so far for 75 yards.
So Van Dyke, the guilty party, negating the 44-yard return by Mitchell. So Donovan McNabb and the Eagles will go to work here in the third quarter from their own 22-yard line, leading the Packers 3-0. And McNabb forced to call timeout before the first offensive play of quarter number 3. Beautiful afternoon in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Kenny Albert with Tim Green. Eagles 3-0 lead over the Packers.
Really a perfect day for football here. The temperature, a little bit of a breeze. Sunny day, Lambeau Field, lots of grass. None of that lousy artificial turf stuff.
The smell of bratwurst.
You still smell that on me, huh?
I didn't say on you. Maybe that's where it's coming from. From the 22, it's number 22, Deuce Staley, down the sideline, forced out of bounds by Darren Sharper after a gain of 16 yards.
You know, sometimes as a defensive tackle and you're Russell Maryland, you can get too much penetration. That's what happens on this play. Watch Maryland here. He's nose guard, and look at, he creates a vertical seam. You see that? Now Staley can cut back into the defense. So Maryland with, you know, great physical presence, but he creates a vertical seam. He's almost too powerful on that play.
Eagles from their own 38. McNabb to the outside. And a nice play by the left quarterback, Todd McBride, breaking up the pass intended for Todd Pinkston.
I will tell you this, Todd, every so often in the National Football League, a player who's down in the third string or way down on the roster will have to be a starter. And that's Todd McBride. And every so often, they answer that call really, really well. And that's what he's done so far today. That was a beautiful broken pass.
McNabb to Staley, and he's chased down from behind by Santana Dotson after a gain of 4 yards.
And that's hustle by Dotson, and that's what he brings to this Packers defense. And we haven't talked about him a lot today, but if you watch him, you have to study film, and you watch him on film, he never stops. He just goes and goes and goes, and that's how you make a play like that, because you're rushing the passer, and then you come back and tackle the pass receiver.
Showing great speed. Now 3rd and 6 from the 42. McNabb again dumping it off to Staley.
And Dotson got him again.
Now Staley's forward progress brought him close to the 48-yard line. He needed to get to the 48 for the first down.
They're going to have to measure that one. That was close.
Staley's 6th reception of the game.
And Santana Dotson actually knocked Staley forward.
.115 combined yards for Deuce Staley, 50 on the ground, 65 in the air.
He got it.
By the nose of the football. You're right, Santana Dotson.
Yeah, he
forced him forward.
Yep, he knocked him forward. Not that he did anything wrong at all. Again, it's that hustle was what stopped the play before.
So the Eagles' drive continues. Opening possession of the second half. Leading Green Bay 3-0. From the 48-yard line, Johnson in motion. Deuce Staley into Packers territory to the Green Bay 48. Nate Ween made the tackle after a gain of 4.
And this is exactly what the Eagles want to have happen. They want to come out. They've got a 3-0 lead. And again, we talked about that really advantage goes to them, not just a 3-0, but in helping keep this Lambeau Field crowd out of the game. And so it's imperative that you come out early, and if you can work your way, march your way down the field, you can tire out a defense and you can dishearten the crowd.
2nd and 6. Again, it's Staley. Broke a couple of tackles and then is finally taken down by Darren Sharper.
Well, Cledius Hunt makes this thing happen because he creates an early corner behind the line of scrimmage. Watch Hunt right there. He's got his hands on Staley. He breaks up through the line of scrimmage, slows him down, and then the Packers rally.
A loss of 8 yards on the play.
Now
there's Hunt.
And this 3rd and long, a lot of times today, Donovan McNabb has gone to this guy here on a little quick pattern to make the first down.
3rd and 14. This time he was looking for Todd Pinkston. John Theory got a piece of it.
Theory's right here. He gets into the pass rush, gets nothing, and is smart enough and athletic enough to leap up, get his hands up, knock the pass down, and then take a thumping from John Runyon.
Sean Landeta back at his own 30-yard line. Allen Rawson from the 14. 10-yard return up to the 24-yard line. Mike Bartram, the long snapper downfield to make the stop. Quarter. Green Bay Packers start from their own 24-yard line. Antonio Freeman back in the game. He was shaken up late in the second quarter.
And they need that. You know, the Packers offense, they need to get some life. They need a couple of big plays.
Freeman in motion. On first down, Dorsey Levens up the middle. Big gain. Across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Brian Dawkins finally made the tackle after a 17-yard pickup.
Now you see the value of Dorsey Levens. You know, he wasn't supposed to play the whole game. He was supposed to split time with Amon Green, but the Pack needs him. Nice blocking up front, but he finds the hole, and then he puts those moves on the safety, Moore, and then Dawkins, and does a lot on his own. He really is just a workhorse of a runner.
Longest run of the season so far over the first 3 games for the Green Bay Packers. From the 41, Levens looks to cut it back inside, and he gains just 1 yard to the 42. Tim Houck, a former Packer, made the stop along with Carlos Emmons. Tim, you know, we mentioned earlier you and Brett Favre were teammates back in 1991 with the Falcons. You actually roomed together on the road, and we asked Brett yesterday, what did Tim do at night. He said he wrote books. And you presented Brett earlier with a copy of your latest novel, The Letter of the Law.
Well, he wanted it. He said he was going to read it. So how could I deny him? Who could say no to Brett Favre?
Favre to Levens off his fingertips. Brett Favre, a rookie with the Falcons back in 1991. He played in 2 games that season under head coach Jerry Glanville.
Even back then, even as a third-string quarterback and a second-round draft choice, everyone on that team knew that Favre was going to be a star. I mean, you just knew it because he had everything. He had strength and he had toughness. He had a great arm. He had great legs. He could run around, mobility, and he had that X factor that a quarterback needs to be a champion. A thing that tells other players in this tough game that, hey, this guy is special.
He was traded after that 91 season to the Packers for a first-round pick. Favre on 3rd down, penalty marker, Al Harris.
Al Harris all over Schrader.
So this the 9th penalty called on the Eagles.
Holding. Defense number 20. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Now, they got the wrong guy. It was Al Harris, 31. But it didn't look like holding. It looked more like he tripped him up. And I think that's what Al Harris is arguing.
Tony Correnti announced number 20, Brian Dawkins. But in any event, it's a first down for the Packers from their own 46-yard line. Dorsey Levens gains a yard, perhaps 2. Hollis Thomas came straight through to make the hit on Levens. Dorsey Levens returning after missing the first 2 regular season games following arthroscopic left knee surgery. And Levens has gained 52 yards on the ground. On 2nd and 9, Favre's pass was short. He was looking for the tight end, Tyrone Davis.
You know, the Eagles have been very, very effective with their blitzes today. And it hasn't amounted to sacks, but what it has done is it's given pressure. Here's Trotter coming and Emmons coming from the outside, and Trotter comes free and puts a wallop on Brett Favre.
Tim, Favre started the game 10 of 12. Since then, he has just 1 for his last 9.
Yeah, and he's been banged around, and he hasn't thrown the ball as well as you expect. But don't forget, this guy is not healthy.
3 wide receivers, 3rd and 9. Penalty marker, Favre lost the football. Mike Caldwell down the sidelines. But the question is, was it a forward pass? Was it a forward pass or a fumble? There's also a penalty marker on the play in the defensive secondary. So a couple of things to sort out here.
Messy play. The Packers have had some trouble with fumbles this season.
Penalty number 10 called on the Eagles.
Illegal contact. Defense number 43. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Yeah, I think that on a replay would not have been a fumble because of the forward motion of the arm.
But it's academic.
Yep.
Due to the penalty called on Damon Moore.
Here's Damon Moore right there, and that's a good call by the officials. You are not allowed contact with the receiver after 5 yards, and even in that 5-yard zone, it has to be frontal contact.
So the Packers have gained 95 yards in penalties. They have only 122 total yards of offense. Favre fakes the end around and then throws deep, looking for Freeman. Double coverage from David Moore and Brian Dawkins.
Well, the Eagles' defensive blitzes are taking their toll on Brett Favre. The fake reverse to Schrader only knocks off Troy Vincent. Carlos Emmons keeps coming. And Favre again just trusting that Antonio Freeman is going to somehow come up and muscle his way down and get a grab.
Favre now 0 for his last 6 pass attempts. 2nd and 10 from the 48. The pitch to Levens. He rolls off the first tackle attempt from Hugh Douglas and then is met by Brian Dawkins. Paul Grassmanis is the injured Eagle.
I mean, you know, the way we talked about John Runyon being the inspiration and the standard on the offensive line, I think the same holds true for Hugh Douglas for the Philadelphia defensive line.
Douglas in on a couple of sacks today. We'll be back in a moment.
What's the score and how does your neck feel and how's your hands feel?
3 wide receivers on 3rd and 12. Favre over the middle, caught for a first down by Donald Driver. Pickup of 24 yards. Favre's first completion in his last 7 attempts.
And the first time in the last 7 that Brett Favre is able to really beat the blitz. Driver does a nice job, gets open in the seam. And look, Favre got walloped again by the blitzing linebacker Caldwell. And that is the way you address a blitzing defense. You have to get rid of it quick, and you have to get rid of it in the seam.
Packers on the move from the 26. Dorsey Levens is forced back. Carlos Emmons made the tackle as we send it back to James Brown.
That the Rams have had this season that they haven't had last season is everyone comes to play at the highest level against them. They're the champions, and they've had 3 tough games so far this season.
Favre on 2nd down. And the pass is broken up. Tyrone Davis, the tight end, has become the favorite target of Favre today. He has 4 receptions. Brian Dawkins made the hit.
And Brian Dawkins, as a safety in this league, you want to stake out that territory and say, look, you may catch a ball from time to time here, but if you come into my area, I'm going to punish you. Favre avoids the blitz, throws the seam. It's really a perfectly thrown ball, and I think it would have been a catch but for Brian Dawkins just hammering Tyrone Davis.
Davis remains down. 3-0 Eagles. Well, the Green Bay Packers were beaten by Mike Holmgren's Seattle Seahawks here last year. Now former Packers assistant coach Andy Reid trying to defeat his former club. And the Eagles lead 3-0. Levens cut it to the outside. Down to the 19-yard line. Finally brought down by Hollis Thomas and Brian Dawkins after a gain of 11.
Boy, did you see how many Eagles defenders were coming up the pipe on the blitz? I mean, Jim Johnson, the coordinator, just refuses to be passive in the least. I mean, there's no zones or anything. He just brought everybody up the center, and that's what almost enabled Levens to pick up the first.
Ryan Longwell missed from 40. This a 37-yard attempt. And this time, Longwell's kick is good. So the Packers have tied it. 37-yard field goal from Ryan Longwell. It is now 3-3.
You know, you'll be watching with your newest addition to your family, daughter Amanda,
who enjoys watching football. She's watched our first 2 games. Getting started early. Ryan Mitchell, 5 yards deep in the end zone. So the Eagles will take it at their own 20-yard line with at least 2 Eagles fans in attendance today here at Lambeau Field. They made the 3-hour trip north from Chicago. Sam and Wilma McNabb, the parents of Donovan, the Eagles quarterback.
Mrs. McNabb is not going to be happy with us for showing her at a point in time when she's got the towel on.
Shading the sun.
She's smart because, you know, she's getting a little shade, but she's not going to. We're not endearing ourselves to Mrs. McNabb right now.
You know, back in grammar school, she would give Donovan $10 for every touchdown he scored. He scored so many of them, she reduced it to 5.
And that was a smart play by Donovan McNabb. You know, people are always looking for signs of, well, how is he maturing? And that play right there was a mature play. He rolled out, he eluded the rush, he saw that he had no one downfield, and he threw it out of bounds and say, okay, we'll go at it again. There's Mrs. McNabb. I think somebody called. I think somebody called Mrs. McNabb and said, "Take the towel off your head." And then Mrs. McNabb, I want you to know this is Tim Green, a former Syracuse University player myself, and I helped you out there.
Niall Diggs coming through, forcing Deuce Staley back.
Well, things like this don't just happen. The Packers are putting on an aggressive defense in front of their own. Watch the stunt up front, and then Diggs stunts back to the inside. So this is actually a run blitz that the Packers run that puts Diggs into the backfield to make the tackle.
How in the world did Mrs. McNabb hear the cell phone ring in the pandemonium of Lambeau Field?
Maybe she had it on vibrate.
3rd and 13. Quick drop, and the quick slant was behind the intended receiver, Todd Pinkston. Again, Todd McBride on the coverage.
And the Eagles offensive line did a nice job on the blitz pickup, but McBride was so tight on that coverage that it really forced Pinkston to run a bad route. It's a timing pass. It's a slant pass.
And it's the first 3 and out today for the Eagles offense. Landetta from his own 5-yard line. Allen Rawson from the 28. Rawson tripped up after a 6-yard return by Rashard Cook with just under 5 minutes remaining in this 3rd quarter. A 55-yard kick by Landetta. Brett Favre and the Packers back to work from their own 35. Off the play fake, Favre over the top, off the fingertips of the fullback William Henderson.
This ball is launched just over the heads of the linebackers and placed with nice touch by Favre where only Henderson can catch it, if he can catch it.
Freeman in motion, 2nd and 10. Levens out to the 33-yard line. Jeremiah Trotter made the stop, a gain of 3 yards, setting up 3rd and 7.
And I think this Philadelphia defense has really done a nice job up front. You know, anytime the Packers have had success running the ball, it's been some kind of a misdirection type of a play. When they just go straight at them, these guys have held pretty firm.
Three wide outs. Penalty markers on 3rd and 8.
prior to the snap. False start. Offense, number 78, 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
Left guard Ross Verba.
And the Eagles have sent so many people, and see, Verba sees these two men here, and I think he's thinking about stepping to the outside to get to those blitzers, and loses his focus on the snap count.
Third and 13. Hugh Douglas again. Another penalty flag as Douglas wraps up 5 for the third time.
Personal foul, chop block, offense number 62. The penalty has been declined. Fourth down.
That's Marco Rivera. Here's Rivera right here. That means someone was someone was engaged with another man. Oh, that's horribly weak. That was not really a chop block.
And the penalty was declined. Mitchell takes it up to the 39-yard line. 46-yard punt and a 12-yard return by Brian Mitchell. Mike Morton made the stop.
Remember, we talked about Ross Verba and the trouble that he had, and then on that last, with the offsides, and then on that last play, Douglas was the guy that was all over Brett Favre. And you could see why Ross Verba was so anxious to get to the outside, because of those Eagles stunts and blitzes that they've been doing.
So the Eagles take over from their own 39-yard line. Tied at 3. 3:20 remaining, third quarter. McNabb under pressure, taken down. The middle linebacker Bernardo Harris with his second sack of the year.
Well, when one defense is having success bringing the heat with the blitzes and the complex things, here's Bernardo Harris. I think it's a good thing to bring some of your own. And the thing that really makes this play happen for Harris is the delay. He doesn't shoot right up to the line of scrimmage immediately. He lets the blockers define themselves, and then he takes the seam.
Second sack of the day for the Packers. 2nd and 19. McNabb takes off. Penalty marker on the play.
And I think that's going to be on left guard John Welborn.
It's the 11th Eagles penalty today.
Holding, offense number 76. The penalty has been declined.
That's
third down.
Well, I could tell you it was a good hold, though. I mean, if you're going to do it, here he is right here. You see, he's got oh, that's a great grab, and if he doesn't hold right there, then Bowens is going to be able to come off and tackle Donovan McNabb. So if you're going to get caught holding and called for holding, at least it was a pretty imperative hold to make that play happen.
And the Packers decline the penalty, setting up 3rd and 13. McNabb can't find anyone, and he is taken down again. Scott McGarrahan.
Kenny Albert, that is a coverage sack, because Donovan McNabb had lots and lots of time. He just had nothing open downfield at all. Watch, the offensive line does a nice job. They've got a pretty decent pocket, But McNabb scrambles right up into the teeth of it because no one was open.
And McGarrahan was the first Packer to wrap him up. Landeta with a line drive fielded by Rossum at the 28. Allen Rossum up the middle. Penalty marker on the field. Another penalty flag. Rossum down the sidelines into the end zone. But a couple of penalty markers are down as Rossum does his first Lambeau leap after taking it back 72 yards against his former team. But the officials will have to sort things out.
Illegal block in the back, above the waist. Receiving team number 50. 10-yard penalty. First down.
K.D. Williams, second-year man out of Henderson State, called for the illegal block. So the Packers will start from their own 46-yard line. Antonio Freeman in motion. Dorsey Levens wrapped up by Hugh Douglas after a gain of 2.
We'll take a look at the K.D. Williams block in the back. Here's Williams right here. So you're not going to see it great there. Right there. Shoves his man right down, right from the back. Official sees it. Flag comes out. Good call by the official. And just a backbreaker for Allen Rossum, who really put his thumb right in his old teammate's eyes.
2nd and 8 off the play fake. 5 under pressure. It's Hugh Douglas chasing him again. And then he is taken down.
Boy, Paul Grasmanis deserves every bit of this quarterback sack. I mean, he is so complete as a defensive lineman on this play that it's just got to put a smile on your face, because he starts out, watch Grasmanis, watch how he reads the screen pass. Now the offensive, Rivera's going to let him go, and he says, wait a minute, something's wrong here. So he slides over, he covers up the screen pass, and then he re-accelerates towards Favre and comes up with a sack.
Grasmanis, who was shaken up earlier this quarter after that helmet-to-helmet collision with Brian Dawkins. He comes back with the Eagles' 4th sack. Favre forced to call timeout with the play clock winding down.
Well, he was forced because Brian Dawkins and a linebacker were coming up, raced up to the line of scrimmage, showed the blitz, and Brett Favre didn't have time to check out of the play he was in.
So the Packers use their first timeout of the half. 42 seconds remaining, 3rd quarter. We are tied at 3. David Akers for the Eagles with a 2nd quarter field goal. Ryan Longwell entering here in the 3rd.
You know, Kenny, earlier in the game we saw the Eagles defense was blitzing 29% of the time, and now they're up to 37% of the time. So they started out blitzing quite often, and they've done nothing but increase the percentage of blitzes.
We wondered in our open whether we would see the Eagles team which crushed Dallas week 1 or the team which lost to the Giants at home week 2. It's more the week 1 version.
Right. And
at least defensively.
That's right. And Jim Johnson said that to us, and Andy Reid said it to us. He said, look, you know, we realize what we did, and we're not blaming it on the players. We're taking the blame on ourselves and say we have to coach more aggressively. That means call those blitzes.
On 3rd and 14, Favre steps up, throws, and has the first down. Donald Driver down to the Eagles' 32. Troy Vincent finally made the stop, a gain of 26 yards.
Well, this is just such great patience by Brett Favre. Eagles showed a blitz, they showed man coverage, and Brett Favre just waited for Driver to come open right in the center of the field.
Driver, 2 big plays on 3rd down here in the 3rd quarter.
Really, the Favre to Driver thing has been the most exciting thing we've seen out of the Packers offense today.
Driver also a world-class high jumper. He considered going for an Olympic berth, but instead concentrated on football. 3 quarters of the books from Lambeau. Tied at 3. After 3, as we welcome you back to Lambeau Field, Kenny Albert, along with Tim Green. Did you expect such a low-scoring game?
Oh, I thought that with the Packers getting Dorsey Levens back and reinvigorating the run game, that was going to loosen up the play-action pass for them, and that Brett Favre would have a much bigger day than he's had so far.
Here's Levens on first down from the 32. Barry Gardner made the stop after a gain of just 1. 2nd and 9 upcoming.
Well, you asked me at the very beginning of the game, you know, how would you know if the Eagles were the team of week 1 or the team of week 2? And plays like that we've seen throughout the afternoon from the Eagles defense tell you they're back to where they were in the game against Dallas.
They suffered a bit of a hiccup against the Giants last week.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't tackle well or pursue well or do much well.
There's Levens, this time to the left side. Gain of just 1. Damon Moore made the tackle, so it will be 3rd and 8.
And that's just good defense. You know, you see the safeties and the cornerbacks and everyone on the defense involved in preventing the run play.
Third and 8 for the Packers from the Eagles 30. Favre's pass is picked off. Troy Vincent with the interception back at the 5-yard line. It's the 3rd Packers turnover of the game.
Yeah, Brett Favre wanted to go to Driver in the center of the field, which is where he's had 2 big plays before. But Driver is a young quarterback, a young receiver, and these two are not on the same page.
The 30th career pick for Troy Vincent.
Don Driver runs the post pattern right here, and I don't know whether Driver stopped on the route. Yes, he stopped on the route, and that's exactly what happened. So for those of you that think Favre threw a bad pass into Troy Vincent's hands, what you saw was a young receiver pulling up short on his pattern.
The 3rd Green Bay turnover. Eagles start from their own 6. Stu Staley bounces to the outside. What an effort by Staley. Out of bounds at the 15-yard line, a gain of 9 yards.
There were about 4 guys that had their hands on Deuce Staley, and the word that comes back to defenders is Teflon, because Staley, if you don't get a real good wrap up on him, he just slips right out, and before you know it, he's 9 yards up the field.
Staley, the NFC Offensive Player of the Week after his huge game against Dallas 2 weeks ago. And Staley picks up the first down up to the 17-yard line.
So turnovers, the undoing of the Packers offense today. Whenever they seem to get some kind of drive, some kind of momentum going, the Eagles defense got it right back into McNabb's hands.
From the 17, Staley works his way up to the 22-yard line before he was brought down by Nate Wayne. A pickup of 5 yards.
That's dangerous. Did you see Staley, how he avoided the blitz? Again, the Packers answering the Eagles blitz with blitzes of their own, and he just avoided, he dodged the blitzers in the backfield to turn what really looked like it was going to be a negative play as you watch it develop into something positive.
Eagles called for a penalty. They had an extra man in the huddle. They had 12 men in the huddle.
5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
One of the Eagles started to run off the field and the flag was thrown. You cannot have an extra man in the offensive huddle.
Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They did it.
So this forces the Eagles back 5 yards. Staley on 2nd and 10. Cuts to the outside.
The only thing about a defensive game is you don't have a lot of points scored, and you don't have a lot of big plays to get too pumped up about.
Tyrone Williams pumping up the crowd as the Packers try and stop the Eagles on 3rd and 9. 4 wide receivers. And McNabb is taken down at the 15-yard line by Santana Dotson.
The Packers come with just a 4-man line. Collapse the pocket. And here's Dotson right here. He works around Jermaine Mayberry and brings McNabb down. And then Thomas gets hurt. Right there.
Ray Thomas, the Eagles' left tackle, helped off. Each team with 4 sacks. Both teams have more sacks than points.
A defensive battle, right?
Alan Rossum, who thought he brought one all the way back in the 3rd quarter, but it was called back due to a K.D. Williams illegal block. Another opportunity for Rossum. Penalty flag, a face mask perhaps. Mike Caldwell downfield to make the stop, but he may have grabbed hold of the face mask of Alan Rossum.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask, kicking team number 56. 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
And the Eagles, when they reassess whatever the outcome of this game, are going to say way, way, way too many penalties.
Green back in Green Bay, early 4th quarter. Packers 3, Eagles 3. Following the face mask, Green Bay from the Philadelphia 43. Off the play fake, Favre off the fingertips of Schrader and picked off by Damon Moore. The 4th Green Bay turnover, the 3rd interception thrown by Favre.
And the second of those 2 that was nothing to do with Brett Favre's fault. The ball was thrown perfectly. Schrader dished it up to the Eagles. Offense has found the right play. They just have to execute it. It's the same post pattern that Favre threw to Driver when Driver stopped on the route, and that was an interception. And then this time Favre throws the post to Schrader, and Schrader, it's right in his hands. It just pops it right up into the air for the Eagles.
You saw Favre checking out the Polaroids sent down from the coaching booth. From the 35-yard line, McNabb's pass is caught by the fullback Cecil Martin, forced out of bounds by Todd McBride after a gain of 5.
You know, one thing that the Packers defense has been able to accomplish today is, in the face of a lot of turnovers, they've been able to get the ball back. No points off of the Green Bay turnovers. 4 turnovers, no points.
3 interceptions, 1 fumble. McNabb with time over the top. Charles Johnson, first down. And a late flag. Gain of 9 from McNabb to Johnson.
I see Todd Pinkston trying to cover up his pad again. And you have to wonder if that's not where the penalty occurred. Someone got his shirt and undressed him a little.
Holding, defense, number 27. The penalty is declined. First down.
That's Todd McBride, who we've seen play a really fine football game today in his coverage and also in his run support.
First and 10 from midfield. McNabb rolling right, and he throws it away.
You know, we talk about Todd McBride, Kenny, and they tried to throw at him yet again. And you see the Eagles' success when they've done it so far has been pretty limited. 6 times they've thrown right at him. Now here he's got some help over the top, so he can press his receiver, and he has Leroy Butler over the top to help him out.
And McBride knew all week long the Eagles would be throwing at him. McNabb to Staley. And a terrific effort by Bernardo Harris.
And Todd McBride.
Yes, along with Todd McBride, a loss of 1 on the play.
And it's exactly what you said. They planned on going after McBride in a lot of different ways, and he has answered admirably. And then all of a sudden, you know, because of injuries, Todd McBride gets his opportunity in the starting lineup. Here he is here. You know, just redirects. Gets right in on this tackle of Deuce Staley. And all of a sudden, you know, maybe you've got a legitimate NFL starting cornerback from the depths of your roster.
3rd and 11. McNabb can't find anyone. He's in trouble, and he's taken down by David Bowens.
Well, Donovan McNabb is looking downfield and seeing just nothing. Again, it's a pretty nice job by his offensive line. He's got some time, and now he's trying to direct his receivers and bring them back to him. And Bowens brings McNabb down really the only way you want to, right at the ankles.
Rawson lets it bounce in front of him, takes a bit of an Eagles bounce and roll. And it's down at the 21-yard line. 37-yard punt. Packers back to the offense when we return.
It's the championship game. There was approximately 16 seconds to go in the game, and the Packers were on our 15-yard line. They had no more timeouts. Bart Starr went back, and he had no choice but to throw a swing pass to Jimmy Taylor. And then he had to get by me, and I wrapped my arms around him and knocked him to the ground along with a couple of guys. World champions, 1960, the last time the Eagles won a championship.
At Franklin Field in Philadelphia, Jim Taylor stopped on the last play by Chuck Bednarik. Eagles won it over the Packers, 17-13, as Levens takes the handoff. It was Vince Lombardi's only postseason loss as Packers head coach. And Chuck Bednarik, Tim, played 58 minutes. He played center on offense, linebacker on defense. Could you imagine playing both ways?
I'm just sitting here thinking that's pretty tough.
58 minutes.
That's pretty tough.
The Eagles' last championship. Second and 10. From the 21, it's Levens again. Cutting to the outside, gains 3 yards. As we send it to James Brown at the Fox Network Center. Hanging tough, trailing the Rams by only 3 in St. Louis. 7 minutes to play, 4th quarter. We are tied at 3. Favre picked off on his last 2 pass attempts. Goes to the air on 3rd and 7. The catch is made by the tight end, Bubba Franks, but a terrific play by Mike Caldwell brings him down a couple of yards shy of the first down marker.
Well, Caldwell has had a nice day today in special teams, and this is the same type of play. Again, it's that screen pass that the Packers like to run, so Caldwell is out in space. Here's Caldwell. Watch him here, and he's got 2 blockers to get through. There's the 2 offensive linemen. He breaks right through the middle of them to make the tackle.
Josh Bidwell from his own 15-yard line. Brian Mitchell comes up, fields it at the 41. He stumbles, setting up good field position for the Eagles.
Oh, Kenny, it's only a 3-3 game, but of course there was a touchdown earlier in the game when Allen Rossum returned this punt. And
field position for the Eagles.
Oh, Kenny, it's only a 3-3 game, but of course there was a touchdown earlier in the game when Allen Rossum returned this punt. And if we keep going this way, that may end up being the turning point. And of course, it's this block right here by K.D. Williams right in the back that ends in the nullification of that touchdown. You like that? The nullification.
The nullification.
Sounds like an ice cream flavor.
Rossum brought it back 72 yards. 4 Green Bay turnovers. Eagles have committed 12 penalties. McNabb swings it out to Deuce Staley. And again, guess who? Todd McBride makes the stop.
Second and 13.
Yeah, that strategy of going after McBride has been an unsuccessful one. And we haven't seen too much from this Eagles offense in the entire second half.
Off the play fake, McNabb looking for Staley, but he could not hold on.
And one of the things that Donovan McNabb doesn't have is a real strong receiver corps. I mean, he's got some solid receivers, some NFL receivers, so they're going to be solid, but he doesn't have a go-to guy yet that can just break out of any kind of coverage and break a game open single-handedly.
Third and 13 from the 40. McNabb's pass incomplete. McBride on the coverage. Alex Van Dyke, the intended receiver, and McBride with terrific coverage broke it up.
And this is the kind of big play that you need, because the Eagles offensive line just does a superior job. Watch the blitz. There's a backer, there's a safety, there's another safety. They're all picked up. So McNabb has the time, and he's got his receiver isolated, and the receiver, Van Dyke, has just got to make that play.
Rossum lets it go. Landetta's punt bounces through the end zone. So the Packers will start at their 20-yard line, a season-long 60-yard punt by Landetta.
And we'll take a look at that third down play again, and we'll take a look at McBride and his man-to-man coverage here on Van Dyke. So he's reading the quarterback, and now he stops, he redirects. You know, that's not an easy catch, don't get me wrong, and it's a nice play by McBride, but that's the kind of big play receiver that we were just talking about that the Eagles, you know, don't have yet, or if they have him, he hasn't developed yet. And there you see McBride has just done a really fine job today.
So now Favre and the Packers go back to work. 5:21 remaining, tied at 3. Favre could not find anyone, and he is taken down for the 5th time this afternoon. Hollis Thomas along with Mike Mamula.
You know, isn't it interesting how the Eagles, who last year without Hugh Douglas really didn't have a lot when it came to the pass rush, and then this year all of a sudden you add Hugh Douglas in it, it makes everyone better. And of course, they've got the rookie Cordy Simon, who's right in here, a big physical guy, developing very quickly.
Each team with 5 sacks. 2nd and 17. Favre off the pump fake, makes the connection with Antonio Freeman. He escapes the tackle attempt from Troy Vincent. Freeman taken down 2 yards shy of the first down marker, a gain of 12.
And once again, this is the area, this isn't just this post pattern here, and that's the weakness of the Eagles defense. And that's where we've found success to be. And this time, Freeman comes up with a catch rather than a pattern that he runs short on, or a bobbled ball that ends up in an Eagles interception.
Only the 2nd catch of the day for Antonio Freeman. 3rd down and 1. Dorsey Levens has the first down and more. Out to the 37-yard line. Carlos Emmons made the tackle, a gain of 8.
You know, this is what Dorsey Levens gives you, because he has such experience. He just reads it. Watch the fullback come into here, and Levens is going to actually bounce it 1 play wider than the fullback. So Levens takes this on his own. He sees the hole open outside, and he can get to it. Now, he has played almost this entire game today on a knee that was swollen as of this morning.
He's carried the ball 22 times. Amon Green just once. Favre to the tight end, Davis. Into Eagles territory, down to the Philadelphia 47-yard line. Jeremiah Trotter made the tackle after a gain of 15, 5th reception for Davis.
And here it is, Kenny, right in the center of the field again. We're going to get the ump's helmet cam, and it should follow the football right past him. And there you see that center of the field is wide open.
Nice camera work by Ron Botchin.
Absolutely. And hire him on.
From the 47. Amon Green, only his 2nd carry of the day. And he was met by Carlos Emmons.
And really, the run defense for the Eagles is strong again, and it's been strong all day. Well, if I'm Mike Sherman, I'm just going to keep going back to that well right in the middle of the field. I mean, so far we've seen about several, almost a half a dozen post patterns open in the center, and the tight end's been open in the center.
2nd and 9 from the 48. The swing pass to Green. Amon Green, terrific 2nd effort, all the way down to the Eagles' 30-yard line as we hit the 2-minute warning at the 1:53 mark. 16-yard pickup. Packers on the move in the closing minutes.
He's out there because Dorsey Levens is on the side getting his ankles retaped.
A 16-yard pickup by Green on the previous play. From the 30, it's Green again. And it's Carlos Emmons, who's played a strong 4th quarter for the Eagles, who made the stop. Yeah. And the Eagles call timeout.
Philadelphia. This is their 2nd
Emmons
charge.
just does a very physical job here of coming right up through the blocker, driving through the blocker. Here's Emmons. Watch him drift and drive up through to make this tackle. There he is on the tight end, just drives right up through Franks. Now, that's a nice play.
And a great job, as always, by our crew here in Green Bay. Producer Larry Lancaster, director Peter Bleckner, associate director Art Durazzo, broadcast associate Robert Slosby, our technical producer Kevin McRoby. The studio produced by Scott Ackerson and Bob Levy. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports, Ed Gorin and David Hill. And we would also like to thank Dave Bernstein, Jay Clark, Steve Baldwin, Gene Matthews, Mike Address, Jeff Morello, Jamie McCombs, Barry Hockhazer, Ben Bowman, Mike Cole, and Mark Eldridge. Great job by our entire crew here at Lambeau Field. 2nd and 9. Favre fires, and the pass is caught at the 18-yard line by Antonio Freeman for a Packers first down, a gain of 12.
And this is apparently all they have to do, Kenny, is just break their patterns back to the inside of the defense. Freeman's just going to come up. He's going to square it in right here, and there's the ball. And he's right underneath the coverage.
Eagles call another timeout. They stop the clock with 1:29 remaining. Eagles have no timeouts left. But should the Packers score, the Eagles want as much time as possible to try and march downfield. Favre this drive. 4 of 4, 59 yards after he was picked off twice earlier this quarter.
You also have to remember that every time the Packers offense has gotten something going, the Eagles defense has come up with a big turnover.
Eagles with no timeouts remaining. First down from the Philadelphia 18. Dorsey Levens back in the game. Gains 2 yards down to the Eagles' 16-yard line.
I think the Eagles defense has shown that they've got this line of scrimmage locked up. Mike Sherman playing it fairly safe. Let the clock run down, try to set up good position for a field goal.
Longwell has hit 1 of 2 this afternoon. Eagles with no timeouts. 2nd and 9. Levens into the pile. So the Packers playing it conservative and will settle for the potential game-winning field goal attempt. Longwell missed a 40-yard attempt back in the first half and hit from 37 in the third quarter. So the Packers will take the clock down. And now Favre calls timeout. And they'll send out the field goal unit on 3rd down just in case there's a bad snap. Longwell would have another opportunity. So Ryan Longwell, 1 of 2 today in his 4th year out of Cal, will attempt a 35-yard field goal with 10 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. And the Eagles and Packers tied at 3. Well, now Mike Sherman changes his mind. He sends the field goal unit back off to the sidelines. And Favre will head back out. Packers do have 1 timeout remaining.
I would have gone with your strategy. In the event of a bad snap, you let your holder fall on the ball, and you do get another shot at it.
Well, Longwell was out there getting set, and then Sherman pulled him off. Eagles shuffling in defenders.
All Favre is going to do is slide over a bit and set this thing right up in the middle.
Favre calls timeout with 7 seconds to go. So instead of kicking from the left hash mark, Longwell will have better positioning. Packers also lost a yard or 2 on the play.
Well, this may be an ugly win if the Packers win it, but they just need a win. They haven't been 0-3 in many years.
We welcome those of you from the studio in Los Angeles. 38-yard field goal attempt with 7 seconds remaining. And Ryan Longwell's kick is good. And the Green Bay Packers with 3 seconds on the clock, have taken a 6-3 lead over the Philadelphia Eagles.
Been a defensive battle all day long, and the Packers have struggled with 4 turnovers. But on this final, which will probably prove to be game-winning drive, Brett Favre was very sharp with his passing.
Longwell's second field goal of the afternoon, as former Packers assistant Andy Reid on the left watches it go through. His ex-colleague Mike Sherman on the right, 3 seconds away from his first victory as an NFL head coach. Over 59,000 here at Lambeau Field on their feet. Packers lost their first 2 games, but they are 3 seconds away from victory. As you mentioned, a defensive battle. Both teams with 5 sacks. Brett Favre intercepted 3 times. Longwell's kick is fielded at the 33-yard line by Brian Mitchell. Mitchell forced out of bounds at midfield. No flags. It's all over. First victory of the season for the Green Bay Packers and their new head coach, Mike Sherman. And it comes at the expense of 7-year Packer assistant Andy Reid and the Philadelphia Eagles.
And as much as anything today for these Eagles, it was the penalties. 12 penalties for 115 yards that really undermined their efforts.
So the Packers win it 6-3 over the Eagles. Both teams now 1-2. For Tim Green and our entire crew, Kenny Albert saying so long from Green Bay. Be sure to stay tuned to Fox Sports for the second game of our doubleheader right after these messages. And for more information on today's game and the latest NFL news, log on to foxsports.com. Longwell, the game-winning field goal, 6-3 Packers.